Hey everybody, I'm Ubercoo, and today I'm going to be reviewing Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Now, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is I think it's a funny movie. Came out in 2005. It's got a whole slew of cast, more cast than I thought I'd realize. Now, I have not read the book, and I am I just basically took the merit as is. That being said, I have continued to watch the movie as is. I chose not to really dive into it because I thought it might kind of ruin it for me, like um, just knowing the ins and outs of it. it. Looking more into it after the fact, just for the review, did a little bit, but not as much as I thought. Um, there's a lot more cast I thought there was in this film. I could just pull it up the IMDb here real quick. So like I'll just run through the cast just super quick. Um, Marvin, the robot, voiced by Alan Rickman. Uh, Physical actual him and the guy in the actual costume, Warwick Davis, of course. Um, let's see, Stephen Fry as the navigator, Martin Freeman as Arthur Dent, and Zoe Deschanel. I can never remember. I can't never. I think that's correct, but I don't think so. Who plays Trillian? Also, originally her name was Trisha McMillan. Most Def as Ford. I think he's great in this film. There's a great. I was listening to Dave Chappelle one time. He was talking about Most Def, and like he was talking about how you could do anything. You could do comedy, you could do hip hop, you could do just all around. Um, who else is in this here? Let's see. Eddie the computer. I did not realize this. He's one of my favorite characters in this movie. He's so upbeat. Hey guys, there's two thermonuclear weapons heading this way. If you don't mind, I'm gonna take evasive action. Like his like upbeat voice was just hilarious. I did not realize this until just looking up for the review, but it's played by Thomas Lennon, who plays Dangle on Reno 911. And he's always been one of my favorites. I love the original 911 series. The newest one, I have to really get back into it, but it seems kind of like a rehash, to be honest. I think that was a lightning in a bottle 911, but especially back in the early 2000s. John Malkovich. John Malkovich is Hamakavula. um, Bill Nye, one of my favorites. This dude, he is in my top tier list of actors. I think at least British actors. Um, I'm not even gonna list off the movies he's been in. Yeah, dude, from like everything. Who else am I forgetting? Sam Rockwell. Sam Rockwell steals this movie. His whole performance in this movie is just so over the top. I'm from another planet. You want to see my spaceship? Like, come on, it's just so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And there's a lot of other people. Helen Mirren played Deep Thought, the computer. I didn't even realize that either. Because I just didn't want to ruin it. I remember watching this movie in the theaters when it came out because I knew it was a book and I knew it was kind of popular. And then since then, I bought it and I just kind of watched it as is. And it's really great. I haven't even watched like the make. I guess there's like a whole making of it and like the whole behind the scenes and all that on the DVD. But yeah, I didn't even get to watch all that. That being said, that just being a movie, I would say I really enjoyed it as a movie because it's a fun adventure. It's a perfect. No, it's not perfect. It is a good movie to escape to right now with current events because it takes you literally out of this world to space and you're on this adventure, and like you're on the run, and it's just, and then by the time you come back, you're back on Earth, and then they go off again. Um, I think it's a good Saturday afternoon movie. Um, Now, it does have a leaning, um, and a lot of that's based on the book and just who made the film. I don't take offense to that, um, because I just see it as a movie. I thought I get it. I'm not like ignorant about it. I get it, but um, I think it could have been slightly. I think there could have been key points in the film that they could have took out or at least changed just slightly, so that way it was less jab pokey. You know what I'm saying? That's really all it kind of felt like. It was just like there was jabs. Like, I'm just jab you right in the side. Or, I don't like you. Like, it's just really cheap. Um, but and it really kind of hinges the film. Like, just to the point where it stands out. So like, and I don't want to go, and I don't want to like dive into it a lot. But my point is that it, I feel like there is points where it just jabs. It's like, and I get it. You want to make a statement, but I think it, and I think this also. I was going to go into this in a second, but I think that also played into how much money it made at the box office, and the reception on online, like Rotten Tomato and the tomatoes. So let me just start there then. Let me just go to that. Let me go right to search over the wiki and shitty tomatoes. Let's see here. Yeah, so it was released April 28th of 2005, making about, looks like 25 million roughly on opening weekend, and then a total of 104 million over about a month. Now, I think that's, yeah, it's pretty good. You're still getting a fourfold on that. Well, let me back up. So, yeah, so it made 104,478, and the total budget was around 45 to 50. You double that by advertising. So I would say about 100 million. They really broke even. Um, yeah, so I can see why the director said he didn't want to do a sequel. Um, I th- yeah, I think there was just, they could have kept a lot of it. There was just key points in the film where it was just a straight jab, and it wasn't called for. I think, I just don't think it was called for in some places. Um, they could have done it in a way where it was still funny, and like you could still even keep it offensive, but just don't make it like I'm trying to hurt you. Make it like I'm trying to just tickle you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a difference. Um, yeah, so I think that's what really happened with the history of the film. Now, the story itself is funny. Um, it starts off with Arthur Dent, who is living in a house in England, and I think he says Cornwall. I'm not great with the cities over there, so my apologies. Um, I know, like, I just know mostly by culture and names. Like, hey, I've heard of this place. I've heard of this place, like from different shows or movies or whatever. So that's pretty much what I got to go off of. In the story, he is actually finds out that his house is going to be demolished by the local city, and in order to make a bypass to the highway. So this actually plays later in the film, just a few minutes later, actually, to get the story going. Is the trigger or whatever it is? I can never remember the storytelling term. So in comes. So he basically, what happens is he finds out that there's like a construction crew. They roll up to his house. He then lays down in front of the bulldozer. He gets in kind of an argument with the construction workers. He's like, "What? Do you have any idea of what type of damage this would you would do to this bulldozer?" No, nothing at all. Like the way he plays it's hilarious. Um, let's see here. That's when Mos Def comes in, and he's got like a whole shopping basket or shopping cart, I should say, of beer and drinks and stuff like that to party because it's the end of the world, like in 12 minutes. And so he takes him, and then he takes Arthur to a pub. There's a funny scene where, I mean, the whole thing's funny, but I love this scene where he talks to the bartender, and the bartender's like, "Is the world really gonna end? Shouldn't we pack bags over our heads or lay down or something?" It's like, "Yeah, but I guess it really wouldn't matter." Okay. And then as he leaves, you hear in the background the bartender said, "Last call, everybody," or something like that. That's just great. So he's actually saving him. He actually tells him the story and how Ford, played by Mos Def, is actually an alien, and he was actually saving Arthur's life because Arthur saved his life when they first met. And then they cut to an old clip where it's Mos Def trying to shake hands with a car. Now, and then of course Arthur's character saves Ford, and that's how he pays him back. So so then they leave the pub, and on the way back, they all of a sudden, as soon as they start getting to the house, you see the construction crew has basically torn down his house, and Arthur's totally just shocked by it and just walking over to his house, just demolished. Meanwhile, you see all the construction workers looking up, or at least like about to look up, and like you see, that's when the camera kind of pans up, and it's like this giant, not even giant, like ginormous, like just this, I don't even know the full word scope for the word, gigantic. It's just huge, like pillar of a ship that goes right into the sky. And I love this. I've never seen this in another movie where the joke that they do is that they zoom out from the top down view, and then they zoom out, and then they keep doing that over and over again, and it's the most hilarious thing. And especially with the sound effect, it's like dun 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 dun. Like it's just so ridiculous. I've never seen another movie, and you can't really do it in any other movie not like that. I thought it was a really funny joke. Let's see. From here, that's when Ford actually saves Arthur's life by he's got the ring for the Hitchhiker's ring to save him, and so he's going up to the ship. And come to find out, it is a alien ship of Vogons, is what they're called, and they're not that bright, but apparently they're really bureaucratic, which is just a play on, I guess, the government of the UK. I don't know it that well. That's kind of their thing. That's kind of the joke of it, I guess, which is again, it all goes back to the book too, so I don't want to say anything about, I don't know what's in the book, so I'm not going to go there. I'm just going by the movie. Let's see, where else did I leave off? I feel like I'm missing a part. Oh, yes, the actual destruction of the Earth. I thought was great. So after they do the zoom out of the spaceship, right, you actually see there's not only the one, but there's actually multiple of these same spaceships around the Earth. And so all of these spaceships around the Earth, it then cuts to the global view of the Earth, and then all of a sudden it just like implodes and like just dissipates into a wisp. And then of course that's when the intro title and the music starts playing, and then of course you get Don't Panic. It's a great. I thought that's great. When I seen that in theaters, I was like, oh shit! They just blew up the Earth like like nothing. Like it wasn't even anything, you know. I'll take a drink. And yeah, so like he, yeah, it was just nothing. It was just gone. Now, luckily, Ford saves Arthur, and they're up on the Vogon spaceship, and they get caught by the Vogons, and of course, the Vogons have, in order to let him free, he's like, "Tell me what you thought of my poem." Now, apparently, also, I know I'm forgetting. Stephen Fry does the narration of the film, and so he goes through and talks about basically what's in the Hitchhiker's Guide book, of like, this is the Vogons, this is what the ear alien thing, I forgot the name of it, but like it's an excuse basically of a universal translator. I don't even know if that was probably in the book or not, but it's just an easy way for everybody to understand how everybody can understand each other's languages. So there's that, and then Arthur asks the book about who are Vogons, and they tell him about the bureaucracy and how they don't like poetry, and so that comes into play in the next scene where they found out that they're on the ship, and so they tie him up and they force him to listen to poetry, and they were saying that Vogon poetry is apparently the third worst poetry of the universe, next to some alien race that or some guy of an alien race that was so bad he made others chew off his foot or something. It was really bad. And then the third worst, the first worst was actually some chick in England. I don't know I'm not doing it justice. It is a funny scene, but definitely check this out. Let's see what else from here. In order, they basically ditch. They don't kill them. They don't kill them as hitchhikers, which is where they get the term Hitchhiker's Guide. Come to find out, Ford is actually a writer for the Hitchhiker's Guide of the Galaxy, and so that's cool. I know I forgot too. There was during the joke about earlier when Arthur was talking to the construction workers, the head construction foreman, I guess, was talking to him and saying, "This plan has been in our office on display for over a year." And then Freeman, Arthur's character, is like, "I had to go down to a cellar." It was just, that was great. I love that. But they bring it up again with the Vogons telling Earth that about the same thing. They have to build an intergalactic bypass, so they have to destroy Earth just like they destroyed Arthur's home. And they make the joke about how the plans for that bypass have been in some galactic library, just like the same excuse basically. They were just using the same thing. It's just on a bigger scale, and I found that interesting because that's not necessarily out of the realm of possibility. I'm not saying anything about aliens. I'm just saying about if aliens were real, and you would have to have some form of alien organization on a galactic scale, you would have to have some form of documentation. And so that would have to be some bureaucratic system of some form, right? So I'm just thinking about this logistically. I just think that yes, I can totally plausibly see how that could happen, and I think that would be ridiculous because all of a sudden you look outside and then you hear this booming godlike voice say, "Sorry, you should have went out to the local office or the to the civic place and saw the paperwork. But nope, sorry, your planet's gone. There goes your home." And yeah, so that's what that is. They're able to... Now, meanwhile, here's one thing I forgot to mention as well, is while they were at the pub, where Ford was talking to Arthur, and then Arthur also told Ford about how he was more upset about meeting basically the love of his life, or the girl in the story, Trisha McMillan. Now, at the party, this is where it cuts to a scene before all this, and where it was like last Friday or like a couple days ago, where they're at this party and he meets her and they get along great. She is energetic and eager and wanting to find adventure of her own, get out of the small town essentially. That's kind of I think that's kind of what they were going for. Now they hit it off and they had a great conversation. She gives him a little kiss on the cheek. I think, yeah, yeah. So she, yeah. So no, I'm sorry. I keep going back and forth. They're talking, and then as they're talking, he brings it back down. She says, that's right. She says, let's go to Madagascar. It's something, she wants to be spontaneous. She wants to get out, right? She wants to be an adventurer. So she wants to go to Madagascar. Well, he is just saying, okay, how about something a little more realistic? Let's try Cornwall, my place, I guess. And it's not, it's played off, I don't think it's meant to be played off as like let's just go back to my place to get laid. I think it's more about this is our sluggish through life, about like we have to do these things, or like, oh, when we're young we look to the future and we want something to be great, and then like, oh, now I have to work, and no, that's not working, and I have to pay bills, and now we just get caught up in the grind. So I see it as that. I see it more like that. And so I think that's what gets her disappointed. Now, when that happens, that's when the hilarious Sam Rockwell comes in playing. I'm just thinking about it laughing. He's like, you want to see my spaceship? Dude, he does the whole hair thing and everything. It's hilarious. And then, of course, she's enamored by it. She's like, oh, wow, like, this is what I was looking for. So I guess I can't, I don't want to, yeah, that's what her motive is. Now, so that being said, after cutting back to the story at the beginning, what I was going to talk about was like, to progress the story, was about the Vogons actually kick out Arthur and Ford into space. And they are able to survive for a couple seconds, and at the same time, they happen to get picked up by Trisha and Sam Rockwell, Zabot Beaverbrox, if I'm going to get his name right. And they have come to find out he's the president of the universe, and also he kidnapped himself with the most latest like spaceship or something that has a improbability drive, where that basically uses infinity to travel from place to place instantaneously, and then when it gets to back to its reality, it quote normalizes to that reality, so it's not part of any other structure. So they go through and they have to, and that's basically the story, and I don't want to give a lot away because I'm going to take up a lot of time, but that's essentially the story of how it begins, is that they go on this journey together. They find out more about these mice, and they come to find out there was the campaign of the presidency with Zabot Beetlebrox. You find out, and you have to go back to meet his opponent, which is John Malkovich. You find out about Ford being Zabot's cousin. Well, what do you say it was? Like they share the same mothers. It's like weird how they describe it, but that's, again, it goes back to the theme of the movie of just that open idealism. So it is going beyond that. I don't want to give a lot away because it does ruin the movie, I think. But there's so many. There's great visual setups and like just scenes, like the great scene where it's Marvin the robot, and he's like just sitting where there's like this archway above him, and like he's sitting in, but it's like a teleportation machine, and then like the background is like a sunset, and it's just beautiful, right? That's a great scene. There's the scene where towards the end, Arthur met Bill Nighy, and they're like traveling through this construction place, and there's just this grand view of everything that's amazing as well. The whole, yeah, you get a sense of the space and the possibility, and that's probably my favorite part of the movie is those scenes, just the scale and like the imagination that it can invoke. I think that's what really. I think that's the core of the movie. What they're trying to get across is just the imagination of what could be, and while also having their own story to tell. There is a lot of references to like the 42, which is hilarious on its own. I don't know the full book story or like the mathematical people have put in time they put into the thing, but just the fact that the meaning of life is just 42 is hilarious. They even set up a sequel. They set up the sequel in the end of the film. I guess it's getting a bit away, but they don't. The director, because he didn't make enough money, he didn't want to make a sequel. I think they still should have made a sequel, and I think it still should have came out in 2008, regardless of it that it didn't. It broke even, because by then it came out on like DVD, and it came out on TV, and I think it got a little bit of reception, not much. It's still at like 64% on Rotten Tomatoes, so like it's okay, 65%, and that's audience score. Tomato score is 60%. Now, mind you, it's Rotten Tomatoes, so you can take it as is. But I would put it higher than that. Honestly, if my grade, I would probably put it like a percentage. 78%. I'll say like a 78. It's like a C plus, B minus. Yeah, I was at most like 81%. It's funny, but not. But it really just takes the jabs take it away. The jabs take it away. Definitely go check it out. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, no problem. You don't have to watch it again. That's actually part of the movie. They actually talk about take pleasure in the fact that life won't be going on much longer if you're like stuck in trouble, but then you can also look at it in a positive light, like you've had a great run so far and this is just your time. I don't know, like that's later in the film, but yeah, take it as is, take it as you like. It's your cup of tea, as they say. Which is also a joke in the film, is the tea. I think that's all I'll have to say about it. Yeah. If you like that, like, subscribe, hit the notification, all that fun standard YouTube stuff, and I'll check you later.